Alright then, ladies and gents, welcome back. It is lesson number 12 of Beginner's Java. So today what we're going to be going over is we're going to do an introduction to methods. So first off, what is a method? A method, so let's begin with the question, what's a method? A method is like a function in mathematics. Mathematics? Oh my god. I think I'm having a stroke right now. Why can't I spell mathematics? Holy shit. I left out the E. Wow. I just had a senior moment right there, guys. You were all witness. Alright. Where it takes a value, performs a defined set of calculations on it, and then gives you back another value. So that's what a method is. But let's talk about what a method looks like, right? So let's create two numbers, right? Let's say int a equals 5, comma b equals 10, right? And then let's say that we create a third value called int sum, and we're just going to leave that blank right now. Actually, let's not. Let's say equals, or int total equals sum a comma b. So right now, that's an error. And I should avoid the word sum. Add numbers, because sum is used by Java. And so I'm going to come here outside of our main method. You recall I've been calling this the main method for the whole time we've been doing this. Now, when we create a new method, we need it to be pretty similar, right? So we're going to say public static, and we're going to call this add numbers, so that's the name. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. That's to return an int, and we name it add numbers, and we throw in that, and we say int a, comma, int b. Alright, and so now this is telling us that we don't have a return statement yet, which is correct. So we're going to create int sum equals 0, or int, yeah, I'm going to call it sum in here, equals 0. Sum equals a plus b, return sum, right? Now, there is an easier way to do this, but for now, I'm just going to run this so you guys can see that this is working exactly the way that you think it is. So let's go ahead and say the total is... Alright, so there's a few things that you guys didn't notice here. Okay, so the total is 15. Great. Now, here's what a lot of people get confused on. So when we pass the variables in right here, so we pass them in the order A, B, right? And I named them A and B here as well. They do not have to have the same name. I can name them 1 and 2 if I so choose. Right? And then just say 1 plus 2. And it still works. Because remember that conversation we had, it was around maybe like the 7th or 8th lesson, where I said that variables are only valid within their own scope. So since this is outside of main, nothing in here is in scope. I can redeclare the total value if I choose to, and it's not valid because it doesn't exist in here. Now, another thing worth mentioning is I can change the names to being opposite, right? I can change them to B and A. And when I do that, B is now equal to 5, yeah, so inside the method, B would now be equal to 5, and A would now be equal to 10. It's all about the order that we pass things in. And a lot of people screw this up. The order we put variables in as arguments decides what they will be in the method. Okay, so cool, we have that. But let's say that we want to get a little bit more technical than this. So I'll comment this out real quick. Great. So from our last video where there was a great deal of struggling because there was just so much code I had to repeat over and over and over. Here's a method that might have made my life easier, right? So if we take string str equals, let's do scanner dot scan equals new scanner system dot in. Great. So when we do that, we'll say scan dot next line. And so when we do this, let's say that we wanted the person to enter only characters, right? Println, enter a string with no digits or special characters, right? Okay, so we're going to try that. Now, what we need to do here is make a quick determination, right? So we're going to say if, and we're going to say is all chars string system.out.println. The string is all characters. Else. And here's the thing, we can actually force them to do it inside the method if we want, and make the method a bit different. But let's go ahead and say the string is not all characters. So now I need to come down here and I'm going to make a public static, and this is going to return a boolean, and we're going to name it is all chars. And it's going to take in a string, which we'll just call s. Once again, I named it str up here for string, and I named it s down here. These names do not need to be the same. So we're going to say return true here, because unless we return false, then it will be true. So we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than s dot length, I plus plus, and we're going to say if s dot char at I, and so now we have to call, I believe it's character dot is alphabetic. And so we can change that to not, and we'll just say return false. Okay, cool. So real quick, we'll just go ahead and type in a bunch of letters. It's all characters. We'll do the same thing. And we'll type in 1, 2, 3. And it's not all characters. Great. So, this is just another example. But let's break apart what each word here, or each part of this means. I'm still going to skip static until we get just a little bit further. Just know, and the reason why we need static is because if we remove the word static, we actually can't call it from the main method. It tells us that we, can't reference it from a static context. So in general, and this is almost always true, if you are creating a method that needs to be used in your program, it's always going to be static. If you're creating a method to be used by an object, it's generally not static. And for now, that's all you're going to need to know about it. So okay, let's go over what the other words mean. Public is an access modifier. That means that anything can reference this. Your program can, other programs can. It can be run from anywhere. You can pass it in anything. Now, in theory, with this, we can change it to not having that. We can change it to private, which means that it can only be called within this file. And so there's a lot of different ways that we can handle access modifiers. But in general, Java has 3 different access modifiers. Public, which means anyone can read. Anyone can execute. Private can only be executed by the file it's contained in. And then there's default, which is where we actually don't put anything. So believe it or not, a lot of the time default is a good way of doing things. But the reason, and this is also known as package private. That just means that anything that's in our source folder with it will be able to execute it. All right, if we have it default, just missing this public word. It means that if we had another file, that it could execute it. So now, just to simplify a little bit of code, I'm going to give you guys one last example, because I know we're coming up on 15 minutes, and I know that all of your time is valuable, so I won't try to monopolize it too much. Right? Okay, yeah, so that did work. So we'll say string checker, and this is get sum of numbers. Great. Alright, cool. So for a third one, let's just do the product of 2 numbers. So we'll just say int number 1 equals 10, comma number 2 equals 5, right? And we're just going to say product, or system.out.println product of 1, comma 2, right? And so this doesn't know what I'm doing yet, so it's going to tell me I'm wrong for it, which is fine. So we're going to say public static int product int a comma int b. Great. And so what this is going to do is this is just going to return what happens. So what happens when we multiply a times b, right? So earlier, I did a thing where I said total product equals 0, product equals, in product equals, or I should actually not use the word product, that's really bad. Let's just call it return number equals 0, return number equals a times b, return number. Great. So that's how I did it last time, right? I did what I needed to do, and then I sent the number back to main. So if I did that right now, we should see just the number 50. What? Where's the number 2 coming from? I actually have no idea what's going on there. This should be getting the number 50, right? So a times b. Yeah, there's something wild going on right now. Oh, because I did number 1, number 2. I just did 1 and 2 because I'm an idiot. So okay, yeah, when I run it, we get back 50, which is what we'd expect. There's an easier way to do this. We can simply say return a times b, just like that. And we get the same thing. So when we run it, we end up, again, with 50. So I'm going to leave it off here, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that this sort of demystified methods and at least started to make a little bit more sense of our statement up here. So public, oh, actually, let's just do one more, and I'll do it at like light speed. And so let's just do actually, let's keep that in. We'll just do like that, thanks, and then we'll do a quick public static void thanks system.out.println. Thanks for watching my video. Smash that like button, bro. Just like that, because that's horrible. And so then when I do it, it does exactly what you think it does. Smash that like button, bro. There we go. So anyways, what void means here is that we're not returning anything, right? We didn't send anything back. All we did is we just output you know, something to our console. That's it. So, okay, great. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Void means return nothing. That's it. And I'll just explain a little more here. So it's the access modifier or none, static or not, return type or void or none, method name, arguments list, or just for now. All right, cool. And I'm going to leave it off here, guys. I am Damien. This has been Beginners Programming, Lesson 11. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks.